I'm Dr. Jennifer West, and we're going to be covering heat stroke today in dogs. Heat stroke is defined as a temperature above 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's important to remember that dogs already run warmer than humans, so a normal temperature can be up to 102.5. Even between 103 and 106 degrees, they still may be at risk of heat exhaustion. The difference there is that heat stroke is when the temperature is so warm that organ failure and shutdown can actually happen, and they may be at risk of dying from that. So, very important topic. Why do dogs have an increased risk of this condition compared to humans? Number one, most dogs are wearing a big old winter coat all of the time. So their fur can really trap heat, keep in heat. Number two, humans can sweat almost everywhere. Dogs can mostly only sweat through their paw pads. They can also pant to dissipate or get rid of heat. So that leads us in to the clinical signs that may indicate your dog is getting excessively hot. Number one, if they are panting excessively, so more than just you're out on a light, walk, or they're excited and panting, but really heavy panting that you can't break them out of. They may honestly just feel hot. The best way to know for sure is actually taking their temperature. You can use just something you would get over the counter at a pharmacy, but it does have to go rectally or into their butt to get an accurate temperature. Use lubrication, make sure your dog isn't too stressed about that. The other things are also GI upset signs. They may vomit or have diarrhea because the GI tract is the stress organ of the body. It's one of the places that starts to have upset when we get really overheated. When we get a dog that's even warmer, they may have a kind of glazed look in their eye. They might be less responsive to you. They may also even develop evidence of ataxia, so a drunken, stumbling gait as if they were drunk. And in the worst cases, they can collapse or have seizures. And this all can escalate to death. So, you start seeing some of these clinical signs. What do? First off, get them out of that heat. If you can go to shade, a cool area, air conditioning, would be ideal. If there's water nearby, as long as your dog is still alert and strong enough, having them go into some water, but make sure you're right there with them so they cannot drown, being very careful to avoid any risk of that kind of thing, of collapse and having them not be able to breathe. Similarly, giving them water by mouth can help as long as they're still alert enough to swallow. And if they're vomiting, sometimes it's hard to get them to drink the water. The main thing is really, after trying your best to cool them, getting them right into a veterinarian to have them checked out. They can get an IV, do additional measures to cool them. So, we already discussed why this happens in dogs more than humans, but there are also certain breeds that are at greater risk of having heat stroke. That includes the brachycephalic dogs, the short-nosed, kind of squishy-faced dogs. They don't have the ability to breathe quite as well as some of the dogs with the longer snout, and so they can't pant as efficiently. Also, dogs with really heavy coats. So it just traps in the heat. They are wearing the thickest coat possible when they're outside. So that can be a big factor. Can also be dogs that are overweight because they have more difficulty with exercise and they overheat more easily. And also, on the contrary, very athletic dogs that are out there running, pushing, being athletic, they might not stop before it's a little bit too late. Again, this is something that is preventable. So taking precautions to bring water with you, taking breaks, using the shade. Really big factor that's been in the news a lot is heat stroke in dogs that are in cars. And it can happen so fast, beyond what you'd expect. So just don't even risk it. Don't put your dog in that situation where you'll have those regrets. Really try to make sure you're taking all these measures to understand what's going on with your pet. And if you're not sure, if you think they might be toasty, come on in.